Explain to me why Kyle Shanahan called 37 passes and 21 runs in Tennessee. I mean, we know they win when they do the opposite. When it's 2-1 run to pass. They got to 2-1 pass to run. Why?
Yeah, so it's really hard to get on his play calling from a schematic and X's and O's standpoint
Right.
because, you know, the game plan versus Tennessee. Tennessee is a tough team to run on. They got two tough linebackers. Zach Cunningham's now on their team. Rashawn Evans is a little mauler. He's very physical, and they got two of the best five techniques in my mind in the NFL in Jeffrey Simmons and D'Amico Autry. Both should have been Pro Bowlers. Both are real tough to move in the run game. Both are really good pass rushers, and those two guys had a very good game versus the 49ers. So I understand why it's difficult to run the ball. It's a really, really sound scheme, and they play a very, very sound front. But to me, the reason the game plan becomes so lopsided is because Kyle Shanahan, to me, is one of the best play callers in the NFL because he always makes a very efficient decision. He understands what the defense is doing, he understands what kind of looks he's getting, and he makes the most efficient play call based on solely what the defense is doing, which to me
Right.
is a great mindset as a play caller because that's why, the Niners EPA per play is so high because Kyle
Right.
Shanahan just knows how to call plays against the types of defenses he's getting. So I think the
Right.
product of them throwing the
He saw
ball is
I'm
that
averaging 3
he,
yards a carry running the
yeah,
ball. I'm not going to have an efficient offense, so I got to throw today. And
yeah.
they do.
And
They average over 6 yards a play.
they were scheming up people wide open in the pass game, and they were getting the kind of looks you want to throw the
Yep.
football. There was a lot
Yep.
of available to throw. I think the issue with these game plans, and I don't want to go there because I don't actually look at it the same way, but I've heard you and Jesse and a couple others get on him as a head coach. And to me, sometimes making the most efficient play call is just looking at the game from solely an offensive coordinator play caller perspective. Because you're just looking to call the best play from a schematic standpoint. But in this case, to me, it was making a decision about personnel and people a little
Yeah.
more in this game because the one thing that you don't want to do is get yourself in a 2-1 run pass because you clearly don't trust your quarterback. Your quarterback's the one thing that can really hurt you against a good team because you can't trust him to be accurate enough and make good enough decisions on a down to down drop back. And so, I thought there's been times where he's turned this corner, right? Like to me, this Tennessee game should have played out the way the Minnesota game played out
Mhm.
in the playoffs
Mhm.
when that was a grinded out game. It
Yeah.
wasn't like the Packers game where they just put on a run game clinic with just pure scheme and movement and Raheem Mostert breaking off 10, 15-yard runs. That
They
was
had
a
a
grinded out
two-score
game
lead
with
against
Tevin
a team
Coleman.
with no offense. A two-score lead
Yeah,
against a team with no offense. They could have won this game with 14 points if they had just not turned the ball over.
right.
Yeah.
Because they spotted
Yeah.
them 7 off the turnover. To me,
Yeah.
it should have been a grinded out type game where you just
Yeah.
you just try to out physical them. It's the kind of game that Jim Harbaugh consistently won with the 49ers. It wouldn't have been a pretty game. It wouldn't have been Kyle Shanahan's best called game, quote unquote, from the X's and O's. But I would understand why he would have to go to
Their
calling that
offensive
game
ranking would
because
have went down,
right. He
but
would
they
have
would have
seen
won.
early. Right. He would, but you could see early in this game, right? The one thing that was going to kind of hurt them was Garoppolo because
Yeah.
I mean, the miss to use check, that's inexcusable
Yeah.
when he misses a throw like that. And when he misses a throw like that, to me, you should be nervous about putting the ball in his hands. And then the touchdown to Kittle, I understand that he wanted to give Kittle a chance. Look, Kittle never won on that route. Maybe Kittle could have given more effort on that route, but Janoris Jenkins was all over the little swirl route they ran in the end zone, same route that Brandon Ayuk caught a touchdown versus Green Bay. Jenkins bodied him to the spot. Garoppolo had a clean pocket. It was second and goal from the 9. I mean, an opportunity ball there when Jenkins has complete positioning. I don't understand what he was looking at. Maybe you throw it. Maybe Kittle wins that another time. But in that case, Jenkins was all over it. To me, I thought it was a little bit close-minded from Garoppolo to say that he would have thrown it no matter what. But I guess that's who he is. But to me, the game plan versus Tennessee, while it was a great game plan and it was a really, really well called game from a pure X's and O's standpoint, from just a pure could they win the game standpoint, I think that's where maybe you just don't want to have the game in Garoppolo's hands. Because really, I mean, he led them down, I know, 95 yards, quote unquote, at the end, but really it was one game breaking play by a game breaking player in Debo Samuel, which he pushed off on, by the way. So I know a lot of people were up in arms about the A.J. Brown, Jimmy Ward, which to me should have been pass interference on A.J. Brown. In this case, they got it back because Debo Samuel pushed off. And Debo Samuel did something freaky where he caught a ball which was actually high over the middle, regained his balance, and then just took off and basically outran their defense and put the ball at the 3-yard line. So that's kind of my take on his game plan. Like, you can't fault it, right? You
Yeah.
can't say it was wrong, but I think just trying to grind that game out and just trying to do what he did versus Minnesota, which was 4 yards, 3 yards, just out physical them. Do not put the ball in Garoppolo's hands might have been the better way to go. Of course, I have the hindsight bias of watching Garoppolo really stink it up for a lot of this game, but yeah.
It's just interesting to me, like the Niners don't really lose that often. They usually beat themselves, and they beat themselves in a specific way. And like you're trying, I think as a play call, as a head coach, you're trying to avoid that. And as an offensive coordinator, you're just trying to maximize offensive efficiency. And this was one of these games where those two things were at conflict. And I think it cost them a little bit. Like you're only averaging 3.5 yards a carry. Fine. Run front, get to 2nd and 7, get to 3rd and 4, get to 4th and 1. Quarterback sneak, baby. You have the best quarterback sneaker of all time on your. I'm just saying, like, anyway, yeah. The two
Yeah.
different the OC coach and the head coach. You got to have the head coach hat on, Kyle. And look, if you had Matt Ryan, you could call those passes. You could call however you see fit, but you don't. That's why you brought in Lance. You don't trust Jimmy. It's why you ran the clock out at the end of the first half. In the Super Bowl too, you don't trust Jimmy. We know that. So don't do this.
And
anymore.
This team is really, really good, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I know the mathematical odds are, even though I still think the Niners have a good chance because I don't believe New Orleans and Philly winning out. I think the Niners are still going to get into the playoffs. This team is still really good, right? It's really good to the point that, before the show and before we saw the playoffs odds this weekend, a lot of us assumed they were going to make the playoffs. And a lot of us felt, looking at the rest of the NFC, that because of the talent they have in the entire roster and personnel and the coach they have, they could make noise, even with Garoppolo being, what he's been this season, which is mostly up and down. But I do think it does get to a point where they do have to go a route to beat some of these good teams that they did in 2019, and that's not put the ball in his hands.
Last week the Niners odds of being a wild card team were at 90. Now it's down to 62. Very interesting. Still above 50.
Not bad. Yeah,
still above
still
50.
Not bad.
Yeah. Last second sports. Jesse, what's up, man? Says all three teams have to play each other for head to head. That's what you were saying.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Joshua says y'all are missing it. Each seed has its own tiebreaker. If there is a 3-way tie, the Niners get in unless the Saints are involved.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. I thought of it the same way Jesse did. So,
all three teams don't have to play each other for head-to-head sweep. Head-to-head sweep applicable only if one club has defeated each of the others, or if one club has lost to each of the others. Okay. We're getting conflicting information.
I don't understand that. So if one team had lost to each of the others. So let's say the 49ers had lost to the Vikings or Eagles, then we know the Niners are out, but who gets in, the Vikings or Eagles?
Yeah, how's that work? How do you differentiate that one? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Philly lose to Dallas and Min loses to Green Bay.
Probably. I think Minnesota losing to Green Bay is a good possibility. I think Minnesota's kind of ruled out here, but
just win, baby. That's probably the best thing the Niners can do. Meaning if the Saints win, they would need to win again and take the 6th seed outright for the Niners to make it. Man, it's a lot of conflicting information here, Vish.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused. This is not what I kind of read earlier, but
we'll have to see.
I mean, somebody's got. Point is that I think the Niners still have a good shot at making.
Yeah, 62.8%. Yeah.